All righty.
Okay, we are live on air. It has just gone midnight in London, UK, and I think it's about 7 p.m. where Richard is. And I'm not sure what time of the day it is where Robert is, but we're here with the lovely
same
Robert.
time.
Same time.
Yeah, cool. So it's about 7 o'clock in the evening. We're here with the awesome Robert this evening and Richard Lopez, and we're here connecting the dots again. This is part 2. Yeah.
Connecting the dots.
Excellent.
Absolutely. And Robert's here is going to help us connect the dots and show what he has. It's yours, Red.
Hey, thank you so much. You know, what's interesting about connecting the dots is that in the psychological community, they want to drug the people that actually connect the dots and that are aware of some of what's going on. I'm disconnecting my tripod from my holder here, so it's going to be a little bit bumpy ride. There we go. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and flip this around right now. Let me see. I think I've, let's see, nope, that's the one that I want to do right there. So what I wanted to show you is that in the Connecting the Dots seriously, what we can do is see how a lot of these things fit together. And once, you know, some people will say, well, what does it matter what the shape of the earth is? It really doesn't matter. Well, I would say, of course it matters, because the truth matters. And once we become aware, as I have, that there's a bullseye on us, and the enemy of our soul wants us dead or at least ineffective. And that's a pretty harsh reality. So like what we're looking at right in front of us now, I want to comment on what we're looking at. This is the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina skyline right in front of us. And there's only a handful of people out there. And I've got a lot of photographs and video where there's a lot of people. In the 2018 calendar year, we were anticipating in this year 20 million guests, which is a whole lot of people. Earlier today, there was a lady and a cameraman that I met for News 10, and they did a little broadcast down there. And actually, I may be on that. I'm not sure. They recorded it, liked it, and we'll see how that works out. This is zoomed in a few times. I'm going to bounce around a little bit. I hope you all don't mind. Thanks. And what I'm going to do here is go ahead and take us. Isn't that interesting? The world is full of mirrors, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. There's so many reflective surfaces. It's insane.
It's pretty interesting, and the water out there definitely is. What I did today, my YouTube Eternal Perspective on a window shade. So like when I'm in the car and I maybe want to take a nap, I can put that in there and not look like a car camper. I got my car. When I go to the Flat Earth International Conference, I'll be probably staying in my car and the lobby. I don't need to sleep very much, so it's real easy for me to operate with minimal sleeping. So that's kind of a nice way of looking professional, being professional, and all that. So over here, what we're looking at is what they call the Low Country, and that's I live about 7 miles over that way from here. Just as the eagle flies. Now, with that in mind, we're only at where I live, where we live right now, about 20 feet above sea level. Right. And this right here is just a few feet above sea level, about 10 feet above sea level. And what's interesting about this, and the reason why I wanted to show you this time of the day, is there goes a vehicle. And there's very little movement or sound out here right now because we've got a serious, according to what they're telling us, a serious storm approaching, Hurricane Florence. Now, with that in mind, I do have a very interesting comment that was made by one of my friends that shared a link with us, with me, and I posted it and let it go on my video. And apparently the buoys out there, it was the video that it's on is the one that shows my car dripping water,
Right.
my air conditioner. Now, what the comment stated was that out where the hurricane is supposed to be, she looked at Google Earth and went to the National Oceanic NOAA's sensors, the buoys that are out there, and they're not showing the kind of wind that we're hearing of on the news. So I don't know what the story of that actually is. What is the actual? What's the reality of that situation? I don't know.
Interesting question. Really interesting question. You would think that the data would be supported on those buoys out in the water, but you know, again, we're not being told the accurate scenario of what's going on, are we?
That's for sure. Now, what I am noticing here is more of the modified weather type skies.
That's right.
The past few days, it looked pretty natural. This doesn't look that natural to me at all. It's modified. So there's the pier down there. I'll zoom in on it a little bit.
Okay.
10 times. Oh, it's not letting me zoom. That's okay. Well, I've got a camera that I can zoom in with it. It's empty right now, but the idea down here is that, you know, the pier is a couple miles away. Myrtle Beach is about 27 to 30 miles away, depending on where on that shape.
Understood.
Where the water. Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, I had a broadcast that I did where I talked about weather wars and the modification of our atmosphere utilizing technology that incorporates particulate like conductive materials such as aluminum, barium, strontium, and maybe more. I've heard stories of maybe more material, and that's interactive with the electricity that's naturally occurring in our atmosphere, as well as what can be synthetically activated through Gwen towers, cell towers, different radars. What we're told, our radar systems may be more than radar. They may actually have a component that's primarily designed to
We just lose him for a second. Yeah, he's out there battling that hurricane.
It does kind of bring up more questions, though, doesn't it? Than you have answers when you hear information like that. You kind of think to yourself, like, if there is this, because it's on the news over here as well. Every time I've looked on BBC and that they're talking about Storm Florence.
Right.
But what you hear and what you see is two different things, right? And then we're forced to just believe what the mainstream media is telling us about this so-called
narrative.
And just like what he was saying, you know, the information doesn't match up, Richard. It doesn't match up.
Yeah, it doesn't at all. And I mean, I think they're personally manipulating with their weather. Doing all sorts.
I do too. I think, you know, I looked into HAARP a few years back, and I'll be honest with you, I know that the skies on the clouds I'm looking at, they're not natural. They're not natural. Some of them are, but a lot of them aren't. Yeah. Are you there, Robert? Can you still hear us? Okay, I think he's going to drop out.
I think he dropped out. He's going to come back in.
No worries.
We're waiting for Brendon Daley.
Yeah. He's coming up a little bit later on.
Yeah, we got some good stuff. We got some good stuff coming in. Coming on with him.
Cool. We've got some more questions that we want to ask Robert as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hello.
Okay, so what's kind of interesting about this? Let me show you. Evidently, oops, I don't want that. I want that right over there. If I stand over there too long, I'm going to lose the signal. Isn't that funny? There's like a
satellites. Satellites.
Yeah, we're good now though. So anyway, as we look at this, we can see the x-axis. That's left to right. And what I'm going to do is just go ahead and pan this down. And what we should all notice is there's no visible curvature there whatsoever.
Exactly.
So I'm 170 feet or so up in the air, and I'll pan directly down there. And what it allows us to do is to see further. Some of my photography, I'll have the camera right on the water, and I'll lift, or on the sand, and I'll lift it up, and it's amazing how much further you can see. So we have perspective issues. We've got some birds coming this way. I'm going to just let you watch. They're just so beautiful. Here they come.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like today when I took some photographs, I've got Caroline and Jimmy. They were down on the beach there, and I was able to put Jimmy and Caroline in the shot with Myrtle Beach there. And what was so pretty is a seagull flew just perfectly to make the shot look really special. And that's part of the dynamic. Some of the photography takes a little bit of patience, but it also takes just a little more than I have going on here. I don't send the birds where they go. I don't cause the fish to surface when they do or jump out of the water. It comes from a much higher source than me. And I believe the God that created this world now actually lives in and through me. It's really exciting. Yeah, because I'm not the guy that I used to be. And and that's part of the deal that we're looking at here. I'm doing more than advertising a YouTube channel. What I'm wanting people to see is I'm a new guy. I'm not the guy that I was, and I'm free in Christ. Right. And so to be aware of what I am as far as connecting the dots and not be afraid, that's a big deal. Because I used to be afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. If I told the truth, then the jig would be up. You would know I was a hypocrite. And so the short version for me, I thought I was born again over 30 years ago until I actually was roughly, it'll be 4 years on Reformation Day. And what happened was I thought I was born again until I actually was. That's the short version. And the way that it actually kind of worked out is I wanted to know the truth more than anything else. What I was unaware of.
I think he's kind of cut out a little bit.
No worries, no worries. We'll keep it moving, and then when the connection comes back in, we'll maintain. Because, like I said, I've got a few questions that I want to ask as well. I'm really interested.
Absolutely, good stuff, isn't it?
It's brilliant. It's brilliant, and it's a real pleasure to be able to speak to someone that are experts at what they've been looking at.
Right. Exactly.
That's really refreshing.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've sent that invite out, my darling.
Okay, cool.
You should have that in the next few seconds.
Awesome.
So that is not a problem. And to the chat room, thank you for rolling with us this evening. Different from the norm of what we're doing. There isn't actually going to be a normal for what we're doing. We are just going to go live whatever point it's convenient for the people that we're communicating with. Special day, we had the exclusive on the GLOBALIST tour bus, and I'm enjoying it so far. What about you, Richie?
Absolutely, I'm loving it because we get a chance to let people know, who these people are doing these experiments. That's going out there, going out there hitting the streets, going out there doing it. And I want to know those people. I want people to know those people. And that's our mission, is to get those people that's actually doing something, not just talking a whole bunch, but actually doing something. I want people to know those people. So that's
exactly. That's exactly it. I think the more that we can be inclusive and the more that we can connect with people, the better. So I've sent out Brendon's invite. Massive love to everybody in the chat room. I'm just going to do a quick shout out. Eco Dave, nice one for tuning in. Tommy Rogers, Amanda, AJM, Lee Redpath, Francis, all people, free people, AJM, Eta TV, Rick D, Rune Thornson, Thank you for tuning in, my darling. Mikey Smith, Chris Murator, thank you very much for tuning in. Skyfly Bree, thank you for tuning in. Marilyn, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you all taking the time out to be with us this evening as we're going through the bits and pieces we want to go through. We're trying to connect the dots. We're trying to work out why.
Hey, welcome back, Robert.
Hey, thanks.
Back.
Well, you know, it's kind of interesting how this works out. I actually put my Wi-Fi on, and so I'm going over a Wi-Fi now, I believe. The cellular data has a little dead spot in it.
Okay.
And so I'll just go ahead and hopefully this works out a little bit better. Oh, I got to flip this around and show you what's happening.
Okay.
Oh, there they go. Look at them.
Oh, look at those. Lovely.
They know something's going on. That's part of what happens. But see, that area down there, we call it, it goes by a lot of names. Bird Island is one of them. And down on that island over there, there will be horseback rides. And it's so beautiful out there. I've done that, horseback rides at sunset. And that's where a lot of birds end up going. Because when a storm happens, they're gonna get low in the trees and in the grass and in the underbrush, because when we're looking at winds projected, you know, over 100 miles an hour, that would be devastating on a bird that was unprotected. So
whereabouts are you with it?
Okay, so I'm at a place called Sunrise Point in Cherry Grove, South Carolina, right now. And so I'm about 170 feet up in the air, and it's just so beautiful. Now, the Myrtle Beach skyline, like I mentioned earlier, is, it's close to 30 miles away from this location right here.
Wow.
And, you know, a lot of people say, those that are deceived, and by irony and paradox, they don't know they're deceived. They'll think ships are disappearing over the horizon. And one of the simple things to point out, since there's no curvature this way, there's no curvature away from us either. That's the point of that. One of the interesting things that's going on with the globe right now, I took it out of 70-degree air, and I'm putting it out into 80-degree air now, and the pressure has increased in the globe. That's just part of what happens. The air, when it's warmer, it expands. Same thing with the water. Now, the water, one of the questions that I have for people, especially those that fashion themselves as so brilliant and so aware, what I say is, do you know how much a gallon of water weighs? And they'll say, oh, about 2 pounds, 8 pounds, 7 pounds. And I'll say, well, it depends on the temperature. I normally say, well, it depends. That kind of gets their curiosity. And I'll say, it depends on the temperature. The volume of the water changes with temperature. Warmer water expands. Now, the simple test of it is right out in the ocean when we're out there walking, or you could test it by a lake or wherever you are. Down by my ankles, the water will be cooler, and up by my knees, the water will be warmer. And what I had been typically doing is putting my my water in glass. And the reason why I'll put the water in glass is simply because I don't want the chemicals that are contained in the municipal water in this area. They'll put fluoride and chlorine. Now, the chlorine is important to kill bacteria. I'm okay with that. Fluoride just makes people very imperceptive, and the brain doesn't function as well. So I'll use reverse osmosis water and then carbon filtration to go to pull the chemicals out as well. And so we can see that the water does curve. The bottom there, on the top or in the middle, it's flat. Now, is it half empty or half full? Well, it's actually completely full. We've got water down below, liquid oxygen and hydrogen, and then the atmosphere that's in the container. Oh, but I'm being a little bit too exact or precise. Well, I prefer accurate. That's how I prefer to be.
Yeah.
That'll match up with the horizon, and it's a trap I'm setting for people. Oh, it's too small. It's too small to see the curve. Yeah. Well, let's just use all the water in the world. Let's use this. Let's use this water. And now I'll show again this water. That water is seeking its level. It'll just keep on doing it. So is the water in front of us. The tide is coming in, and we'll have high tide here in a little less than 4 hours from now. So there's what we're expecting, or what we're projected to have, is anywhere from a 3 to 12 foot tidal surge. That'll put it over the road on the other side of the building here. Easily.
Hey Robert, real question. I have a question I always wanted to ask you, and now I got a chance to ask you. What's your opinion and observations about the tides? Now, we know it's not. I mean, we know we can't accept the official narrative from what we've been taught. What's your observation? Why does water go away, and why does water come across if we're in a container? Like, what's your opinion?
Well, there could be
the tides. Now, we know it's not. I mean, we know we can't accept the official narrative from what we've been taught. What's your observation? Why does water go away, and why does water come across if we're in a container? Like, what's your opinion?
Well, there's a few options that it could be, Richard. And I don't know if we had some feedback issues. Are you hearing me okay now?
What's your observation? Why does water go away, and why does water come across if we're in a container? Like, what's your...
Okay, so I think that I'm in a feedback loop. Can you hear me okay now? We had some feedback.
Yeah, we got some feedback. Hold on. We got some feedback coming on. Hey, Brandon, what's going on? No way. Why does water come across if we're in a container? I don't know why they got me on repeat. Hold on. Hey, Brandon,
I don't know if it's me causing the feedback or not.
I think, Brandon, when you plugged in, it don't really ain't that.
I don't know if it's me causing the feedback or not.
Okay, what the feedback
Yeah.
Okay, we worked out that it was
yeah, he's gonna have to. Yeah, he's gonna have to re-plug in. Okay.
Hey, what's up, man?
Okay. Does it look like we got the? Did we get rid of the feedback?
Yes, we got rid of the feedback. Sorry about that, guys.
We're all here.
Robert, we got Brendon Daley.
Introduce everyone, Richard. You introduce everyone, darling.
Yeah. We got Brendon Daley from the Future of the Flat Earth. He just joined us. He's got some good stuff for us later. Brendon, right now we have Robert Foertsch on, going over some good stuff. I'm sure you guys know each other. And Robert has the floor right now. And then you're next, boss.
All right. Thanks so much. Welcome, Brandon. What I wanted to say about the tides is that they're definitely reliable on the projections that we're given, that I'm given, and I'm able to confirm with the Tides Near Me application. Very precise. How they exactly work, I'm not sure. There could be a causal relationship between or with the sun and the moon. As I mentioned earlier, though, keep in mind that water expands and contracts, increases and decreases in density based on temperature. So we have found out, Dave talked about it, Dave Moore is one of the people that talked about it, is that moonlight gives off the moon gives off its own light, and it's a cooler light. I've confirmed that myself. It's a completely different light spectrum, and it has a cooling effect, whereas the sun has a warming effect. So the moon is giving off a different light spectrum, and it has a different effect. It cools things off. So if we have an expansion and contraction of all the water in the world on the ocean, that's a big deal. Now, here's another possibility that I believe is also biblical. The reference in Genesis 1, when Noah prepared for the flood, up until that time, it didn't rain. Then God caused it to start raining when enough of the animals went in the ark. And God could have created more animals after the great flood too. So I'm not all hung up on every living creature had to be in the ark before the flood happened, because God, who spoke this world into existence, can speak more fish into existence in the feeding of the 5,000 in the gospel accounts. Okay, so back to the flood, the fountains of the deep had been opened up. Now, if that still is in operation today, there could be a massive reservoir. We know we have aquifers because we pump water out of the ground, put them into water towers, and then that pressure that's created by the water, it wants to seek its level. So the weight of that water that's elevated will seek its level when somebody turns on a faucet to brush their teeth, to take a shower. However, if that faucet is higher than the point of the reservoir, it won't come out. Water doesn't go uphill. It doesn't go up higher than its source unless there's another force being applied. Okay, so we have the possibility, a couple of them, of what we've come to find out is the electromagnetic aspects of the world that we live in. There's an electromagnetism that may operate the sun and the moon, how they actually work. There's mystery around it. So if somebody says they know exactly how it works, I'm a bit cautious because there's a lot of mystery.
My thing is, I'm getting the whole bathtub effect. Okay, the water, we know the water goes, but why does it go so low, or then why does it come back? You know what I mean? That's
if the volume of water in a container. So, for example, if I fill this water jug completely full up to the top and I put it out in the sun, if I filled it with 70-degree water through the course of the day, it'll warm up to about 120. And the water will come out over the top. Well, this is just a little bit of water. How about all that water? So when the sun hits it, it can expand the molecules of the water. That's a possibility. Now, with the sun and the moon, they're a bit of a celestial timepiece, to be sure. I'm going to show you the moon right now. I'm going to disconnect this and show you with this camera, with my iPhone 10. It's not so easy to see it, right? Can anybody see it up there?
Yes, I can make it
in the middle of the view?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is activate my camera and zoom on in there and see if I can show you better. There we go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, when I first took a shot of this moon back, I would say it was almost 3 years ago, I thought, what in the heck am I looking at? It doesn't look like it's completely a ball. And it's got there's some interesting features about the moon. Not only the light spectrum, how it appears. So what I would simply say with that is that the moon is mysterious, and I believe we get that. Now, what happens with a lot of the detractors and the naysayers, they're more than skeptics. It might even be artificial intelligence that is wanting to cause us to be, how would we say, they want to disenfranchise us from one another, getting us arguing about things that really don't matter. It could be artificial intelligence and like chatbots that are working to cause problems, kind of like a digital schoolyard fight only we're talking about battling with learning computers that are smarter than people. However, I'm not afraid of that. Like I mentioned in our conversation earlier today, Richard, we're all schooling the artificial intelligence. Not as in, well, what I should say like this: the system tracks, traces, databases, and threat assesses all of our activity. What are we doing? What do we really do? Not just what we say we do. What do we actually do? So it doesn't know everything. It's not omnipotent, and it's not omnipresent. One of the things that I believe is really important to keep in mind, the God who created this beautiful world that we live in created an angel that would fall, and that would be Lucifer. He was cast out of heaven, and a third of the demons went with him. Now, Satan will use who and what he can. God uses it all for his glory and for his purposes. So I get to do what I want because he created me to do what you're looking at. And that's part of the beauty of that. What I've done with my YouTube channel, and any of us can, when we click like on a video, it puts it in our liked video playlist. I'm not a master of organization on my YouTube channel. I don't pretend to be. I create a lot of content, take a lot of pictures, and y'all only see a fraction of what I have. But what I believe is so important is to engage the mind and the heart. It's a big issue. So not only will I have photos that show the impossibility of 9/11, what the official story is, what I'll do is I'll link videos to those photos. So when somebody clicks on the photo, they'll have a chance to look at it. I'm going to, rather than take you in there inside to show you on my computer, I don't want to lose my connection once again. So while we're connected, I wanted to go over a couple of things that I believe are very powerful realities. I don't know if you can hear this, but it's getting a lot more loud. It's getting louder here. I wanted to show you over this way. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Wow.
So some of the things that we can do would be handing out friend requests on YouTube. How does that work? Well, I subscribe to a channel, even the people hating on me. And what's funny about that is sometimes they'll make a real hateful comment like, mental illness is real, I hope you get the help you need. And it's like I'll put born again question, hashtag born again question mark. And then I'll say, oh, by the way, you don't have any, I'm your only subscriber and you don't have any content. I just want them to know what they're dealing with. They might be, like I said, they might be a chat bot. It might be AI just playing around with me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, I'm sorry, hey, Robert. I just wanted to bring Brendon up to speed.
Sure.
Robert's in South Carolina right now. He's dealing with that storm out there.
Yep.
So that's why he's going first out there, because he doesn't even know if he's going to have power. It looks like a lot of people evacuated or going inland. So he was happy enough to come on early and basically go ahead and show us some stuff. So if you do disconnect, we'll just go back and forth. That's all, Robert. So go ahead.
Hey, that sounds great. Thank you so much. So on one of the other things that I wanted to say too is I've been on the phone with tech support at Apple Computer, and we work out a situation. It's all good, and they'll typically say, "Is there anything else I can help you with?" And I'll say, "Well, there is one other thing. I've got a YouTube channel called Eternal Perspective. You might like the content there." And I'll just leave it at that. I'll get people that call in, they're telemarketers. They've got something for me they want me to look at. And I'll listen to them for a little bit, and I'll respectfully say, thank you for calling. I just really don't have a need or an interest in that right now. And I'll say, however, I'm glad you called. I've got a YouTube channel, Eternal Perspective. You might like that. And what has happened from that is I've acquired quite a few subscribers through just that kind of being a utilitarian. I want to work things. I'm an opportunist. Sometimes we create those opportunities by paying attention. It's an opportunity. Like when I was a kid, I used to find money laying on the ground. Well, my dad would say, "You're the luckiest guy." I said, "I'm just paying attention. That's all I'm doing is I'm paying attention to what's going on." Now, my dad would tell me a lot of things, but he would also answer questions that I had because I wanted to know why things worked and how they worked the way that they did. So he was very descriptive and would elaborate generously on what's going on in the world, what he saw. Now, what's really interesting about this, we lived in Wisconsin, and he sold steel commercially to manufacturers. Manitowoc Engineering was one of his companies that he called on. And in the 1970s, around the time that President Nixon was getting impeached, he said at the dinner table, "Hey, Bobby, I went down an elevator today and I saw a tunnel boring machine." He said, "I didn't even know they existed. It was so big that they put it on the front end of a train." Well, at the time, I didn't think much of it. And then learning more about the world of the reality that many of us have found out, tunnel boring machines and deep underground military bases, that's all part of the reality that a very small portion of humanity is aware of. Now, the reason why I think that's important, like he also sold steel to Sturgeon Bay shipbuilding, where these tunnel boring machines would get loaded on and taken all over the world. So what's fascinating about the ocean and about the physics and properties of water is it does not compress. You can't compress water. Okay, so you can have a steel ship filled with rock or steel or iron ore, and it'll float on water. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. We're looking at buoyancy. That's reality. Buoyancy is real. Gravity is science fiction.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter how many letters somebody has around their name. It doesn't matter how many digits they have in their Monopoly money bank account. I'm not going to be intimidated by anybody. And that's part of the swagger that I bring to this discussion. It isn't look at me, it's look at what we can do. Some people that have preceded me in the exploration of truth have produced videos like Bart Sibrel getting punched in the choppers by Buzz Aldrin on Astronauts Gone Wild. That's right on one of my favorite videos. And so when I put hashtag moon landing hoax, and then I link the Astronauts Gone Wild from my liked video playlist. That's an important thing. So when I activate my liked video playlist, and there's over 1,270 some videos there, I'll select the video out of that location, which means when somebody says flat earth proof, that video doesn't say much of anything. I said, well, just so you know, there's over 1,200 videos there. And not only that, on my videos, I've linked my photo album, which has other information linked to that, like earthcurvature.com. You can't find the curve anywhere in the world. It doesn't exist, except in the minds of the deceived and the deceivers. Now, what happens, I believe, as we become more interactive with one another and connected with people that are like-minded truth seekers, what we find out is there aren't a lot of us. However, we're around. Some people will say you shouldn't breed. Whatever you do, don't breed. Like we're some kind of mouth breathers that are subhuman. The reality of it, and I'll say we breed, we reproduce by exposing the truth to others. And those that are interested in knowing the truth will hear it, and they'll be changed. And that doesn't mean they're going to understand everything. It just means that there's a change that happens when people are wanting to know the truth more than anything. That's how I ended up here. That's part of my story. I just wanted to know, when I couldn't fog a mirror anymore, where was I going to spend eternity? And if I was born again, why was I struggling so much with alcoholism and drug addiction? Well, the reason is I wasn't born again yet. Now, this condo that I showed you a little bit of,
right.
When I walked in, there was over $100 worth of liquor sitting on the counter with, you know, thanks. It was like somebody shared it with the owners here, and there's, you know, probably $1,000 worth of liquor in this condo. I don't have any appetite for it, but I used to drink vodka for breakfast and smoke cigarettes in the shower. I'm a free man. And when I was on pharmaceuticals, I found them to be a catalyst for addiction, both legal and illegal drugs. So for me, I used to wake and bake. I made my own e-liquid out of cannabis and Everclear. Absolutely. And I was addicted to marijuana. Now, the wonderful thing for me is I'm free of that perception. That
let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Robert. Sure. In 12 months, where would you like to see this flat Earth? I would like to say movement, but I guess that's what it basically is. It's movement. This shift in consciousness. Where would you like to see this? Where everything's going at in 12 months?
Well, what I'm interested in is every day I want to help empower more people to share the truth and let the results be what the results are. So it's not just telling other people about this. It's how can we do that? Now, back in the day, a long time ago, I remember being in LA, Los Angeles, California, and there was a guy ringing a bell with a big beard, and he was wearing a sign saying the end is near. I remember seeing that guy. Well, and there was probably a few of them like that. Now the digital, the end is near kind of guy, like I am, is saying 3 people per second no longer have their human experience. What we can do, we're all eternal beings having a temporary human experience. What we can do is create a playlist that goes with our YouTube channel, and we can copy and paste, Command C, Command V. And when we do that, we can share powerful truth with people that are showing an interest for it. So like I've got my YouTube Eternal Perspective shirt, and I don't have to run around saying, hey, like a wild-eyed crazy guy, the earth is flat. You know, people come up to me and say, hey, what you got going on? I see you're taking pretty pictures out here. Yeah, it's amazing. I've got a YouTube channel. You might enjoy the content. It's kind of
next question. So my next question. Go ahead. Was you going to say something, Brendon?
Oh, I'm good. I just wanted to hear where you were going.
No, I wasn't saying anything.
Okay, I'm sorry. No, Robert, basically, my next question I want to ask you is that, you know, what could you tell the other people out there that's not confident in going out there, doing street activism and doing sort of like what you do? Just so that, I don't know if everybody's familiar with Robert. Every day, this man debunks the globe through a visual perspective. Every day. He just debunks the globe every day. He goes out there and he has tons of footage. So I just want to ask you, what kind of things that you could tell to other people that's inspired to go out there and buy some cameras and do what you do.
What I would say is that there's different levels of activity that we can all do if we want to. Some people, because of their situation in life, have to be a little bit more stealthy on how they share this. So what they can do is have a name of a channel that doesn't lead back to them. For me, I'm out there. I'm way out there. So that's okay. People can share my stuff if they want. So one of the other things is we can have a page on Facebook. And one of the things that's nice about having a page on Facebook is that people can operate without it really going back to them if they've got to be on stealth mode. Stealth as in they could lose their job, they could lose their life. They could lose their marriage. They could lose a lot of things. But what I've come to believe for me personally is that I'm free. I'm just free to do this, and so I'll keep doing it and encourage others to as you're able to do this. Now, one of the other things too, in creating a page, like I created 9/11 Truth page, and then Weather Wars, Flat Earth Proof, and then I've got a group called #Flat Earth Proof. What I'm able to do with the pages is send out an invitation to all my friends. And what happens sometimes when somebody says, oh, you're a flat earther, I'm out of here. I don't want anything to do with that. Okay, fine. I've got way more friend requests than I've got room to put them. So that's one of the benefits with the YouTube channel, is that people can subscribe to that. They can subscribe to the YouTube channel. They can like the page if they want. And so we can be connected that way. The other thing that I do is I make my phone number available publicly so people can actually call me. And I've had them call me and say, hey, I'm surprised that you took the call. I said, yeah, I'm fine with taking the call. I talk to people around the world, around the clock. I enjoy that. So I'm going to digress back a moment to where would I like to see this in a year? Well, what I would like to see people continually do is to have us work together so that we can share the truth. And even though some people are going to be upset with that, that's still something that should happen. It's contrary to popular opinion. It's not like just a positive answer is not the only answer we're going to get. We're going to get
absolutely. And Robert, I see it's getting kind of dark. I'm going to go ahead and head over to Brendon if you want to get set up for your next part, and then come back in. I'm going to head over to Brendon and question him, and then go to him, and then we're going to make it happen. Okay? Is that cool with you?
Yeah, that's totally cool.
Okay, so we're gonna go. So I'm gonna go to Brendon, and we're gonna introduce Brendon while you get all set up, so you can get ready to come back on in a little bit.
Sounds good.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Thank you. Brendon, we got Brendon, Roxanne, Brendon, Robert. Absolutely.
Hi, Roxanne. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Roxanne. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you so much
Go ahead.
for over here and chilling with us this evening and helping us to connect the dots.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Brendon. It's your floor. Go ahead and tell everybody who you are, what are you doing, what you're up to, and what you got currently going on right now.
I see you got the email on what shirt to wear.
Absolutely.
I missed the memo.
You gotta get Roxanne.
It's on Amazon. It's like $15.99 or something like that. It's a good deal.
I'm gonna have to grab me and my partner one of those. I'm loving the Jack Daniels take on it. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
I got it in white. I got it in white too. So.
They got the color options as well. Yeah, they got the color options as well.
I haven't seen the white one. Oh, nice.
Well, honestly, I don't know if it's from the same spot, but the white one that I have is actually from Nathan Thompson from the official Flat Earth and Globe Discussion group.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually in my house. He stayed here for a few days, and I was just like, dude, that shirt. And he had like a wife beater. I'm not trying to, whatever. I don't want to offend anybody, but he had a wife beater on underneath, and he literally just pulled the shirt off his back, and he was like, "Here." And I was like, "Wow, man!" Gave his shirt off his back to me, And then I grabbed him a Future Flat Earth hoodie, and then he rocked that hoodie because he was like on tour, going around like all these different places, and then he was on doing his videos with the Future Flat Earth hoodie on and stuff. So it was actually like a really cool trade. But if anything, the kid gave the shirt off his back to me, so that was pretty cool,
Love that.
Oh, that's what's up. Go ahead and tell everybody, who you are. A lot of people know who you are. A lot of people don't actually know who you are.
I've just been brought onto the radar, like within the last 24 hours.
And like our mission is, like me and Roxanne's mission is to pay attention to people that's actually out there doing something. You know what I mean? So And I've been noticing for a while that you've been doing it hardcore for a long time. Your experiences, the amount of people, the amount of the footprint that you have on this flat Earth offensive. You know, go ahead and let people know what's going on.
Yeah, it's I'm just starting to realize how long it's actually been. You know, it was funny. I was on Facebook yesterday, and I'm scrolling through, you know, the thread, and this meme pops up, and I'm like, holy, it was a flat Earth meme, right? And I come across it, and I'm like looking at it, I'm staring at it, and I'm like, oh my God, I made that 2.5 years ago. So I mean, it just popped up on the thread. I was like, that was one of my first memes that I ever made and stuff. But you know what I mean? And it just clicked to me. I'm like, wow, I've been in this battle for a long time now, you know, because as soon as I got put onto flat Earth, you know, I was always looking for that one thing that gave me that drive to fight back against, you know, the powers that be. And you know, 9/11, it was like, okay, it was an inside job. You know, what else is going on here? What, you know what I mean? So when the whole flat Earth thing came along, I was like, okay, you know, this is really important. This is the indoctrination that makes every other indoctrination, you know, this is the one I've been looking for, you know, and, you know, because everything underneath that flat Earth umbrella, per se, is such a lesser indoctrination. I mean, even if you take 9/11, you know, I'm sure everybody here agrees it's an inside job. Yeah. And, you know, 17, 18 years later, are we gonna really, can you really not just examine a little bit of the evidence and say it's, you know, an inside job or not, you know? And a lot of people still believe the official narrative, but a lot of people also got turned on to the flat Earth movement. So they basically shot themselves in the foot with that one, you know. And the big turning point for me wasn't actually 9/11. It was actually Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook was the one that got me more than anything. That's the one that I was like, started thinking like, holy shit, we got some really bad things going on, because they're actually faking shootings of kindergartens and elementary schools now. You know, how long has this fake shit been going on? And then you trace it all the way back to like Operation Northwoods and stuff, and you realize like, wow, this is not a new game, you know. And then, you know, so Sandy Hook really got me going, and then the flat Earth thing happened, and looked into it, started buying equipment, running experiments, and you know, it just became a life, you know, a way of life. And, you know, this week I was kind of taking a break because I had just flown back from Florida, and we did the iHeartRadio down there, which turned into a huge debate on iHeartRadio. It really was supposed to be more of an interview, and I kept my calm, but it was a comedy show. So like a good point I want to bring up about like how flat Earth really, you know, really gets to people is, now there was 3 comics, and one of them's a really good friend of mine who's actually in San Francisco right now. So I want to give a shout out to Chris Machado. He's at like the national comedy competition right now, and he's already moving into the semifinals. I mean, this is big. This is like Robin Williams. This got him started. I mean, these are like the biggest names in comedy. So he's down there right now doing that show right now. So, but he got me the opportunity to come on to the iHeart show, and you know, kind of like I'm doing the flat Earth thing, he's doing the comedy thing, and you know, we're both, you know, doing a thing, and then we just kind of combine powers. So, but the other hosts of the show, you're full-on comedians. One's a huge radio host / comedian down there. Great people, unbelievable. So when you guys see the iHeart Radio thing, you know, remember, like a lot of people were saying, oh, I want to punch that kid next to you, and all these things. But listen, I know those people personally. Let it be a lesson to what flat Earth can really do to people's minds, and the programming and the in-depth of how well we are programmed like computers. You know, it's absolutely insane.
I watched it. You did a really good. You held back a lot. You good, and I saw it, and I think you did a really good job, because you know that was your friends. And you know, and you understand what's going on, right?
Yeah, well, one of them was my friend. The other ones became, you know, very, very hospitable when I was down there. You know, I still don't really know either of the other 2 guys that well, but they were great when I was down there. We had gone out to a few like clubs, and not clubs, but like kind of like southern like not Texas, but like that southern style, like roadhouse bars and stuff, and live music. We did a couple cool things when we were down there, but the main reason why I went down there was to do iHeartRadio. And when you actually see me go live, I've spoken about this a couple times, but not really, you know, told that many people. But when you actually see me go live, I was on my 25th or 26th hour straight, because I had flown in that morning. I left Boston at 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, got there, went to the comedy club to see one of the shows, and after the show we went back to the studio. They were interviewing some other guy, and I called it off. I said, can we just do it Sunday, because I'm on, it's like 1 o'clock at night now. I'm on my 23rd, 24th hour. And then they're like, no, let's do it tonight. And I was like, fuck it. And I just went and did it. And but the point I'm trying to make is that comedy, nothing can break comedians. Like, these people can joke, laugh, and do about anything. And what that iHeart interview did was show you that even people that are literally, like, their whole lives are designed to laugh, talk, communicate. Their whole show, if you go back, it's the Bodacious Comedy Hour. They do skits, and their skits are absolutely hilarious, And they're so smart and articulate with how they do their show. What I mean? But what it showed is that even people who literally just laugh at everything, you can turn a show like that into a full-on debate. You know what I mean? That's the only topic. What other topic could I have brought there to that studio that would have done that? Bigfoot, UFOs, UFOs would have been, everybody would be like, yeah, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Everybody would have been all on the same page. But the second you mentioned flat Earth, boom, Mr. Smith turns on, the computer starts going crazy, and you start just programming, boom, 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 and you start, pictures of NASA, and this, and to me, it's become more of a symphony. Like I see these people, and it's like a symphony. Like, I know, like, I'm conducting it, and I can just see it coming out of them, and to watch they're almost like robots that you just know what they're gonna say. To me, that's beautiful, because it just shows you how far that people like us have come to be awakened to these lies, and we're so blessed. And I believe that people that are waking up there's something else with us. There's something beyond, the spiritual world needs people like us out there talking and being a part about it. So it's a beautiful thing to be a part of. It's a scary time. I'm sure we can all agree on that. But at this point, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? We're just gonna keep fighting,
Brendon, can I ask you? What woke you up, or who? What woke you up specifically, or who, what, and when, and where?
Even from when I was in my early teens, like I didn't even believe a lot of the stuff, and I was always into cool conspiracies. Like, I love the Bigfoot thing, and I love the, all these. So my mind was always open to other things, and I always had, I had a lot of loss as a child and stuff, so I was always searching spiritually for God and things like that. Like, I had, my sister was in a car accident, she passed away. My mother, my father, everything happened when I was really young. So, like, I was constantly fighting, like, emotions and things about life, and always looking, spiritually. So I think maybe I just built up a spirituality that allowed me to, like, okay, when flat Earth got put in front of me, I just was like, okay, let me look into this, because this could be cool. But you know what? I'm skeptical, because that's just, I had that same programming, but I was a little less programmed, I guess you could say, a lot less programmed at that point. And I just looked into it. I woke up one night out of a deep sleep. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, and you wake up and you look at your phone and stuff like that, and whatever, just scroll, check your message. I don't know. I just happened to open up my phone 3 o'clock in the morning. I was planning on going back to bed, and I saw, a couple things on flat Earth, and I was like, why does this flat Earth shit keep popping up? I saw like 3 things, and I clicked on one of them. I think it was like the page. Flat Earth is the name of the page. It's a Facebook. It's a really good Facebook. The guy makes awesome videos. I always watch his stuff, and I saw some things, and things started clicking, because I had been investigating the moon for like 6 years. Like, I thought it was an alien moon base or something. So I was always looking at the motions, the movement, when it was full, all its cycles, where it was at certain times of the year. So like, it just, none of it ever made sense. So I started looking at this geocentric model, and I go, oh my God, everything I've been trying to figure out for the last 6 years, thinking of this moon, that just, it's impossible on the heliocentric model. What is that? Is it an alien, and is it a base inside of it? What else could explain how that moon acts? And it was, so then the geocentric model comes, and it's like, oh wait, oh my God, every question I've ever had about it was basically answered like that. And I go, okay, let me look further into this. So the moon really brought me in because I'd already been studying it. And the next day, I came out and I went to my wife and she's looking at me. She's like, "Wow." She's like, "What?" I was like, "I haven't slept since like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning." She goes, "What happened?" I was like, "I'll get back to you in a few days on this, you know." And I just spent some time looking into it. And then I went to my wife and I said, "Hey, listen, you know, this was a couple days later." I go, "I'm not sure. I don't know, but the Earth could possibly be flat." And she was like, "What?" She wasn't like that normal triggering thing. She just, you know, she's a very open-minded, loving person. She's like, "All right, cool." And I was like, "No, you don't understand." She's like, "Is that what you've been researching for the last couple of days?" You know, and, you know, so I just got further into it, started getting into the groups and basically saw like a lot of the things. I saw the groups as a very powerful tool. And, you know, I was already well into flat Earth, months into flat Earth at that time. And I was sitting out on my porch, having a coffee in the morning, and I'm thinking, I'm like, you know what, I need to start a group. And then every morning I would think about it when I got up, like, what should I name it, you know, whatever. So I ended up launching the Future of Flat Earth, and it ended up being a group. It's not huge. I mean, it's a big group. I think it's like 12,000 members in it, but it's very, very unique. I don't think there's a mass amount of people like that is that tightly knit, you know. We never went over, you know, any quantity over quality, you know what I mean? Like, we never did anything like that. We probably have just as many, you know, people decline from the group that we do actually in the group. I mean, the list is just insane. Like, we decline people all the time if something doesn't look right, you know. So it just became this haven of 12,000 people. And then everybody from that group started modeling their groups out of that group. So now you got like 17, 18, 19, 20 other groups that are on Facebook right now solely because of the Future of Flat Earth. And you know, it's just a part of me that is I mean, there's no words for the Future of Flat Earth, man. It's just something, you know, it got me a lot of attention, and then next thing you know, I realized I could really wake people up and how important that is. And I you know, I hope they put this on my gravestone one day. I come by the words, you know, waking up one person is just as good as waking up a million people. You know, you literally just freed someone's soul. And I live by those words, you know. Flat Earth at this point is, you know, after I leave for episode 3. Oh, Richard, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars I spent, you know.
Talk to us about the episodes, because a lot of people are not privy to them and don't even you understand. But tell us about the episodes and what you're doing and what you've done in the past to lead you to this point.
Say, can I interject something right now? Can you hear me?
I wanted to get out there just because it was like became a passion, and it became like a hobby. I've never really had a hobby, you know. I was always into sports and stuff, but never actually had a hobby. But this hobby was something like it actually was so rewarding, as just seeing people getting closer to God because of something maybe you have done or something like this. So that alone is why we do what we do, you know. We're not, this costs us money. We don't make money off doing this, you know what I mean? And so I hooked up with an admin who's now an admin in the Future of Flat Earth. His name is Joel Justice. I think you probably know Joel Justice. Awesome material. Probably one of the smartest kids I know. If he's listening, I sent him the link, you know, if he's listening, you know, definitely what's up, brother. But he has Room Flip Productions, and we just kind of, I just sent him a message one day, and I was like, hey, listen, man, I got this really good curvature experiment I'm gonna do, you know, let's make it cool, man, you know. And I explained what I was doing to him, and it was Mount Monadnock in New Hampshire. And I was like, listen, I'm gonna capture Boston from like 100 miles away. And I was like, I'm gonna film everything. I'm like, let's make a little cool 10-minute, you know, thing about it. And his passion, before we had ever met, his passion was he always wanted to get into video editing and making and create, you know, using his talents like that, you know. And that's something I always wanted to do. But he had already had the software, and he was already working into it and stuff. But this sparked him to get involved in it, you know. And so we just kind of paired up, and the ball hit the floor, and we started rolling, and the Future of Flat Earth came out, and we did an episode, and it was a complete success. Both of us learned so much, and what's in the episode is I captured Boston from I think it ended up being like 80 miles away. and I zoomed in on the city like perfectly. You could see the entire city. I could name the buildings from where I was. I had the perfect conditions and stuff. And yeah, it's. I was like, let's just run with it. And
I'm getting a little feedback from you, boss. Just getting a little bit of feedback from you. Hey, what's up? What's going on, Roxanne, can you turn on external?
Say that again, my darling.
Yeah. Can you turn on external mic? You trying to say something?
Yep, no worries.
Yep.
Did I mute my? Can anybody hear me?
Give me 1 second, Brandon.
Yeah, he's off mute.
Hey, what's up, Robert? You trying to say something?
Well, I just wanted to say thanks so much for having me.
You can't hear you. You got no mic, Robert.
Okay,
I think he's got some connection issues. He's muted again.
You got a connection issue.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just trying to work that out.
Okay. We can't hear you. Okay. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, so we ran with the Future of Flat Earth episodes, and now 2 is pretty much filmed. It was when I flew down to Florida. It was pretty cool because I was trying to get some temperature tests done down there, but the conditions just weren't right, and I ended up going up one night to film the moon because it was I think it was 98%. I think, and it's like at that point, and it was Florida. And I ended up turning the camera to Mars while I was in the back. It was like this back like courtyard to the condos.
Okay.
And I captured something on Mars that's never been captured before. It was almost like it was meant to be.
Wow. Can you show us that right now?
I can show you maybe a little glimpse, but the whole point is like we're holding on to that for the episode and your commentary over it. But let me see. Hang on a second. Let me see. Yeah, I'll give you a little glimpse of what it is.
You also can share too.
Yeah, no, I did. I filmed myself actually going live because I was actually I was so excited about the footage and I wanted to get it out there right away. And then I was like, whoa, hold on, you caught something cool here. Like, save it. You need that, for the editing, and it's gonna take up a good amount of time in the episode, and it's really cool stuff, So figured we'd hold on to it, but
Brandon, do you hear that feedback?
Yeah, I do.
Try unplugging it and then plugging it back in.
Better now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Sorry about that.
No worries.
One second here. Okay. Oop, almost there.
I don't know. We lost Robert, so I don't know if you got to go. I don't know what's going on.
All right, so here it is. I'll try and get it in the camera, but I caught like a void or like something opening in Mars.
Wow.
Oh, I can see that black dot in the middle.
Yep. It was like a portal opened up right in the middle of Mars. It was absolutely crazy.
That's crazy.
I don't have the app on my phone that's with me right now, but
I even was questioning, like, am I looking at Mars right now? Like, what is this? What is this?
if anybody knows what the hell that is, this is something
That is insane.
in the sky, but
Yep. I mean, you can hear it in my voice at the time. Hang on, I'm getting feedback again. 1 second.
Wow.
No problem. What's going on in the chat room?
Yeah, I'm just taking a look at the chat room just now. I want to thank each and every one of you for rolling with us this evening and taking the time to listen to what we're saying tonight. We're trying to connect the dots. We're trying to move through the subjects and go through the who's, the where's, the why's, and the what's of what's going on in our reality. I want to give shout outs to everyone in the chat room. Deep inside the rabbit hole, thank you so much for being here. Effie, AJM, Marilyn, Spirit Level, thank you so much for being here. Christopher, Team Gust, thank you so much for being here. All people, free people, Richie B, FE, thank you so much for being here. Veronica, thank you so much for being here. And like I said, we're just rolling just now. We're making sure that we're going to go live every day and communicate with people and be as inclusive as possible and try to connect the dots and put other people's research and connect it with other people's research. And definitely for me here in London, I've only been making content for a short time, but I'm trying to connect with people because I can't stop talking about this in public. You know, I go out and do activism. I try and have every human interaction I possibly can do without it being a mundane communication. I definitely don't profess to know everything. I just know a little bit about what I've been looking at. And I think prior to being awake, I believed a whole lot about a lot. And I realized that after waking up, you know, it's okay to not know everything. It's better to not know a lot of things than believe a load of crap. So, you know, once again, I want to thank everyone in the chat room for being with us so far. And I want to thank Brendon especially because, I mean, I've not met you before. You've recently just come to surface as far as Richard's been telling me about all the stuff you've been doing. And for all intents and purposes, I feel like I've been under a rock, you know? I think it's...
No, you didn't even know about the Flat Earth Podcast. Who doesn't know about the Flat Earth Podcast?
And vice versa. There's been things I've been showing Richard that he's not been privy to in the past. I've been showing him people that have been making content. And I really think that this is a good way to lead by example and leave our egos in the back seat and say, listen, I know I'm not on a ball. You know you're not on a ball. That's a good place to start a conversation, you know?
Right. And also, I don't know if you've been paying attention, Brandon. We got this John Global tour going on across the UK. It's the first tour. Ari is going across, started today. UK, right across the UK, 8 weeks in a camper.
Locations.
Hardcore street earth activism, straight up, man. So we're bringing that attention too. So, you know, we're getting everybody to support Harry and Jason out there on the road. You know, so bringing everybody together. You know?
I'm going to be joining them on the tour. I'm going to be with them as of around the 21st onwards. Those weekends, I'm going to be streaming live. I'm going to be doing a couple of globe denier challenges. I'm going to be going and making some noise and screaming up the place outside the British Space Agency. They've been taking £1 million a day off of us. For what? I do not know. As far as I can see, it's the biggest fraud in human history. Space doesn't exist. There's no rockets up there. There's no satellites up there. There's no extra exploration that's going out in you know, deep dark space. I want to know where my money's going. I want to know why they're getting 1.16 million pounds a day. Like, do you know how small this country is in the bigger scheme of things? And they're still getting over £1 million a day. You know, we've got a homelessness situation in this country. We've got a property crisis in this country. There's not enough affordable housing, but we can give the British Space Agency 1.16 million pounds a day. So I researched where they are. They're in a house called Polaris House on North Star Avenue. Just the address alone is a piss take. I think we can all agree the address alone is an absolute piss take. Polaris House on North Star Avenue. So you got to wonder, you got to wonder what kind of jokes are going on inside that building.
So what me and Roxanne is gonna do is during the day, we're gonna start asking questions and tape that shit. You know what I mean? Really asking these hard questions. Yeah, absolutely. But the reason why that I want to start following and following your success and what you're doing. You know?
Yeah, man. The links will all be available. I kind of take a lot of my stuff and just keep it in the future Flat Earth. You know what I mean? Because it's very personal inside there and stuff. But hang on one second. I'm getting feedback. Let me check. Hello. Yeah, I'm still getting feedback.
Yeah. We're here. We can hear you fine, though. We can hear you fine.
All right.
Yeah, not a problem.
All right. So, yeah, I'll be leaving in the 29th for Central America. And I'll be in Honduras, Guatemala, possibly Mexico, and even possibly Bolivia to the Salt Flats if I can get over there. I'll be there for a decent amount of time, probably about anywhere from 1 to 2 months. And whenever I feel like I got enough footage for episode 3, and or just enough footage in general, you know. But I got curvature experiments on the islands of Rotan, and there's distances. I'm talking, I can get Belize. I'm going to bring an infrared camera lens with me. I'm going to be getting islands that, you know, 50, 60 miles off, but ocean's really easy to film at because, you know, it's all level right there, you know. But yeah, there's some really huge distances I'm going to capture, and I'm also going to go over to the Mayan ruins, and I'm going to really kind of try to talk to some people there in like the actual natives, if I can get as close as I can get to a native of that area, and learn what knowledge of where we live has been passed on, because that, you know, even the Mayans, the Incas, they all have that geocentric earth with some sort of covering over it and stuff. So maybe I'm gonna try and find somebody that get their raw model like from somebody over there. I'll also be in the murder capital of the world, or it was up from 2009 to like 2014 or something like that. I think it fell a couple spots, but it was the murder capital of the world for like 6-7 years or something like that, maybe even longer. But I'll be in that murder capital for a week out there, and I'll be doing some street activism out there and kind of really linking in how the worst place, you know, in the world, basically, that's not a war zone, to the deception of the globe, like we're in the worst place and what's the worst lie and everything in between. So I really want to get in the minds of the people there. It's going to be a dangerous move on my part, and I understand the risks of doing so. Yeah, but you know what? I'm confident. You know, I'll have people around me that know the area for the most part. I can speak a little bit to talk myself out of certain situations and stuff, but I think more or less the people there want to get their voice out too. You know what I mean? Because they're people, you know, and I know it's a very gang-ridden, violent city, but there's parts where I can go and talk to people. You know, I've investigated it pretty good. Some of it's scary when I'm researching San Pedro Sula, and I see all these things coming up of like, you know, murder capital, murders a day, and but the way I look at it is I've also seen a lot of people. Vice has been there.
Brendon, you're getting a lot of feedback. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna try and change my headphones. Hang on one second. Let me see if these ones work better.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's all right. We're just gonna sort out the little technical difficulties so we can hear Brendon properly. Is this better? Again. Better. Let's see if this is better. Does that work?
Test. You know what?
I'm getting feedback on you right now too.
Okay, so how about I do this while you're talking? We'll go on. Oh, okay. I'm still here. No, I'm still here. It's all right. Are you hearing me? Okay, you still getting feedback?
I'm not getting any feedback from you at all.
No, I'm only getting either. Yeah, Richie will jump back in. So you said you're going out on the 29th. Is that the 29th of September?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So this is like literally around the corner. And this is episode 3 that you're going out to film.
Yeah, episode 2 is going to get released the night before I leave.
Wow.
Yep. So it's kind of like a send-off video.
Like the hottest thing to watch. I think that, you know, anything big, if anyone's into Netflix and Game of Thrones, forget all that. It's episode 2 getting released the night before. Yeah, that is it. If you're not watching that, I don't know what you're doing with your life, really.
Well, we're getting good at what we do. Episode 1 was just a big learning experience with the editing and stuff like that. So episode 1 was, I think, 12 minutes long. Episode 2 is probably going to be 5-6 minutes longer, and then episode 3 we're going to move into the 30-minute range, because I'm going to have so much material. The traveling, the interviews, those, you know, the different parts of the countries. I mean, you could turn all that into something, you know. But yeah, I'm excited all the way around. So
wow. So you said Honduras, Mexico, what would
possibly Mexico.
Wow. Wow. See, this is what I'm talking about. Getting out and exploring this flat plane of existence that we live in. It's not a pipe dream. I think there's too many people that are sat back on their laurels and going, no, it's not really realistic getting out there. It's not really that realistic, but it is. It truly is. I think we're so humanly conditioned into being kept into our little pens that we don't really think about going any further than we would do for a reasonable holiday. And you know, I've got to give massive respect to what you're doing. You've been putting in the miles, the time, you know, the effort. It's, you know, it's big. You know, you must have spent an inordinate amount of money and time up to this point. I mean, like, you know,
it's been a lot.
Bottomless pit.
Yeah, but you know what? If just one person, never mind thousands, if just one person came up to me and was like, you know what, you woke me up, man. You brought me closer to God.
Yeah,
it's all that matters. You know what I mean? There's no money that could reward that type of that payback. You know, that's the pay right there, is getting people to come to you and just thank you and stuff like that. That's just.
Is there a way that anybody can financially donate to you if they want to? Is there a way that they can reach out to do that?
I've always stayed away from that, only because the second you open up any type of pipeline for money, in the flat earth community, we can admit it can get pretty nasty.
Oh, definitely.
Second anybody's asking for money, second anytime asking, you know, I see people writing books now, and people attack those people writing books, and maybe rightfully so, because you read the books and some of them are pretty bad, and you know, some of them are definitely stolen material and stuff, and somebody's just, you know, writing a book trying to make money, you know, whatever. But the way I look at it, like if it's gonna make money someday, like whatever, you know. Right now, it's all about just waking people up.
Right now, you're just grounding the pound. You're getting out there.
Ground and pound, yeah.
I fully respect that. I fully respect that.
Hey, Brendon, you may have to leave and then come back because we're still having a lot of feedback. I did that. I don't know.
Okay, no, is the chat room getting any feedback just now? Because I'm not getting any feedback, Rich.
I
don't get it on you either.
Okay, good.
Oh, no.
Okay, good. All right,
but I can do that. I can join and come back.
No. I just want to make sure that it's me or you.
You, my darling. No, it might be you.
Okay.
It might be.
All right, so I'm going to leave and I'll come back.
No worries. No worries. I've got some questions I want to ask Brendon anyway, so sorry if you feel like I'm going to pick away at your brain, Brendon.
No.
I've just got, where you've done so much mileage and spoken to so much people, I'm getting out and doing group activism. I've been doing group activism now for probably about 3 months. No, I think I'm talking to myself. Hi, everybody. Hello, everybody again.
Nope. I'm back.
I've no idea. Now I've no idea what's going on. Is everyone back?
Yep. How I sound now?
Can everyone hear everybody?
I can hear everybody.
Cool. Well, that is the main deal. I was going to say with Brendon, he's done so much street activism and so had so much interactions with people. I wanted to know what in your opinion, what would you say is the best method for raising awareness with the fact that people have been lied to? What do you reckon the best method would be?
You know, that's a really good question, because I think everybody kind of holds their own merits onto how they could present themselves. There's a lot of people out there that can't. They don't want to be out in the open about it because they're scared of you know, what people will say and think and stuff. But the best thing to do, you're not a good speaker if you're not somebody that wants to invest in it and travel, or you know, look at certain areas, and the best thing to do is just post away on your pages, your social media, just because even if you post a good meme or anything like that, it's a seed planted, you know. That's what most people's weapons could possibly be. Would just say it everywhere, you know. Fear no repercussions, you know. Other people's opinions should not hurt you and stuff. Just keep saying it, you know. Because I'll see somebody on Facebook and I'll encourage them, like, dude, just stop posting about it, man. because they'll be hiding in groups, but then they'll go to their personal thread and then they'll post something, they'll get attacked by their friends because nobody's seen. They're like, oh, he's a flat earther now, whatever. And you know, the debate will start, and he's a flat earther is now out in the open.
Yeah.
And then, you know, next thing you know, everything is posted. Flat earth. So it's not a big deal. Just let it out there. Who cares? Who cares what people think about you? You know.
Well said.
That's the start. That's where you want to start. And then if you can get past that point, then take it to wherever you can go. Get out there and, you know, do it. Street activism, whatever you can do, make videos. You know.
That's it.
Just remain humble and stay on the truth. Is all you know. We tell anybody.
Yeah, well said. In sorry, in the time that you've been out, this is going to sound like maybe a bit of a corny question to ask, but since you've woken up, since you've been having human interactions with people, what would you say the biggest changes have been since you woke up to now? In the time that you've been awake to now, what would be the biggest change in my life personally?
Well, amongst those 2 years, I had a son and a daughter. Wow. So it's been a really that's a very complicated question, I guess, because there's a lot of emotions going in all different directions. I had my son right before I woke up, and he's 2.5 right now. And my daughter's 9 months old. So they've been kind of part of this thing, and then it gets into, you know, vaccinations and all this other stuff, and I've had to make some really bold decisions with my family and stuff. And what's changed most with me is that I know something's going to happen, because right now the flat earth movement is like that snowball rolling down the hill.
Yep.
And it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So eventually we won't have to do these shows and stuff. Once it hits that 50% or 40% or whatever, then just the loudness of flat earth will do its own work, you know. That's where we need to get. We're actually starting to nip at the bud at that. Because you're starting to see it, you know, mainstream stuff. But eventually it's going to be so big that people are just going to literally wake up, because it's the cool thing to do. You know, that's, you know, they'll see it on television or whatever. But I say protect your family. I'm planning on buying land. I'm planning on kind of getting away from any type of society, you know, not because I feel like the world's going to end. I'm not going to leave you guys as fans or people that follow me or anything like that. I'll still do my work and stuff, but I want to move myself and my family away from everything. You know, me and my wife are planning on buying anywhere from 25 to 75 acres. I'm up here in New Hampshire, which is a very free state. You know, a lot of protection up here. I'm sure a lot of people know what I mean by that. It's very free in that sense as well. But we have the White Mountains, we have everything. And so as soon as I had my kid and I woke up to this flat earth thing, I moved to New Hampshire right away, because I was in Massachusetts. And you know, it's a very liberal, you know, everybody's shooting each other down there. It's like, you know, I don't need that shit. You can't protect yourself. The laws are all fucked up, you know. So, you know, I moved to New Hampshire where I can protect my family. You know, if you're breaking into my house, I'm going to kill you. You know, that's the way I want to look at life. You know what I mean? I don't trust anybody anymore. So I don't trust anybody, if that's one answer for you. And I feel like you need to, if you really want to love and protect your family, like, you really have to take measures to do it. It's not just about buying a home anywhere and just living life. I feel like you're going to need to really be in a certain area in the next 5 to 10 years. And I don't want to scare up people either, you know. But that's my honest opinion is something's gonna, the bubble has to burst at some point, and what happens at that point, you know. So biggest change is, you know, I'm ready for World War III.
That brings me to my next question, Brendon. I've got another question. It's actually like a 3-parter question. The first part of this question is basically, I'm going to be pointing to you. How do you think we could best expose NASA as a human civilization? How do we expose NASA? How do we encourage more activism? And what do you think it's going to take to to push the truth forward, in your opinion? Pushing the truth forward, exposing NASA and encouraging people.
The thing about NASA like being exposed is that a lot of the stuff we expose them with is they're actually exposing themselves with it, you know. So a lot, you gotta understand, a lot of this footage, maybe all of it that we get of NASA's, you know, like NASA astronauts doing like the backflips, and you can see the harness, and the other astronaut grabs it and he like pulls them up, and it's so obvious. But that came from them, you know. So as far as like exposing NASA, they're their own worst enemy. Which leads to my own personal question: is, are they doing this on purpose, or do they just really don't care anymore because they know that, you know, their time's up soon? You know, so like NASA basically is their own worst enemy in a sense that they keep on putting out things. They launch a fucking, not NASA, Tesla, but, you know, they launch a fucking car into space. Do you know how many people turn flat earthers overnight because of that? You know, I had people like literally messaging me. They used to argue with me and be like, dude, I saw better graphics in the friggin' Call of Duty friggin' game. Like, I'm really gonna start looking into this at this time, you know? And you know, then this hole that just happened where like they plugged a hole with duct tape in fucking a finger or a thumb or something. I don't know what the fuck they use. But there's people reading these articles like going, oh man, maybe these people are onto something, because that, you know, if you know pressures and you know engineering and stuff, who the fuck is, why is there a hole in the ISS? Oh wait, it's a drill? Who the fuck's running around with a drill on the ISS? Like, how thick is the ISS? They show the hole. And it's, I don't know if you can see my finger, but it's literally like that's how deep the hole was. And it's like, that's what's protecting you from the vacuum of space, is a, you know, a quarter inch of aluminum or something. So people look at that shit. Yeah, they look at that hole and they go, okay, wait a minute. Let me look at some NASA fucking videos of people saying, hey, showing evidence about NASA, because they're starting to wake up by their own fucking fuck ups, you know. And
yeah, and that meteor should have went through the whole ISS. Not just a little part. Going that fast.
Yeah, it had to have fallen on the floor. Like, show me the little meteorite, you know what I mean? Then they realized that it was either two options. They had to show the meteorite, or they had to show holes going through the entire ISS. But then they just changed the story to, oh no, we're just kidding. It wasn't that. It was a guy with a drill, just randomly drilling things into this thin wall on the ISS.
Why they going 1,700 miles an hour?
How much more do you need? 17,000 miles per hour.
Excuse me, 17,000 miles. So
guys, someone in the chat room, Amanda FE, just said Bilderberg meeting last year. One topic on their list was post-truth. Things that make you go, post-truth. One of the topics on their list was post-truth. Do you think the agencies the deep state, or whatever you want to call it, do you think they are in the knowledge of, like you said, Brendon, that this is a snowball? This is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until it's exposed? What do you think about a controlled release? Do you think that they're going to have to eventually, in a controlled way, release the truth?
Yeah, they're hanging on for dear life. Everything that's leaking out, I actually found a flat Earth video from 2008. My friend Greg admin in the Flat Earth had found it for me, and he had actually watched it in 2008. He's like, hey, look, I found my first Flat Earth video. Nope, we didn't just bring this back. Okay, this was something that was buried, and it was, they realized that the model that they had presented us with was so fucking stupid. They're like, okay, this is either going to be an explosion of truth, or we need to start testing the waters a little bit. So I won't name any names, and I never will, about who started this or whatever, but they're controlling it, you know. And everything that you see NASA do, like this little meteorite that put the hole in, every little thing that they're doing is they're taking numbers and names on everything, you know. And I believe it's 100% a controlled release right now. Joe Rogan is a perfect example of that. You know, so, you know, there's just so many different things that just show like they know their time is up. So they have two options. Well, they have three options. One is the unknown, like will they take us out or not? Who knows? But their options are to release it out slowly and then kind of control it. So when the truth does come out, they have control of the truth at that time. You know, kind of like a transfer of leaders into something like a new world or utopian society.
So you more thinking control rollout avenue? Because I thought about that, but then I'm like, no, I got too many paid trolls, too many debunking rap videos. We know they own the media. They're still laughing about the media. They're coming up with Space Force. I think what happened is, I think they know what's going on. They know it's out. They're trying to slow the rate of speed on how fast it's coming. Because you got to remember.
You're making a point.
It's a done deal.
Well, you make a good point. Like the reason why is because, like, and I've said this before, is that I think it was a controlled release of information. They had probably tested the waters 10, 15 years before with like the Flat Earth Society in the 90s or whatever. But they looked at, like, Flat Earth was the dumbest fucking thing known. I mean, you were literally, programming was done. They had convinced the entire fucking world, for the most part, that we lived on a spinning ball shooting through space at millions of miles per hour. So I think they did a controlled release, but then a couple people started to look into it and say, oh, that makes sense. And then you had that snowball effect I was saying earlier, and it started rolling faster than they had planned on happening. And now they're doing damage control. Like, now it's like, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck. Oh, another 20,000 flat earthers today on Facebook. They're keeping count, you know, how many people are searching it, researching it, looking at it, posting the memes. They know everything. They got it all in a database, you know. But it was a control release, but it's a release that was, it's spinning a lot faster than they thought it was. And, you know, that's why they're doing all this Project Bluebeam shit, Space Force. You know, if we're going to beat an alien invasion, okay, how are we going to beat it if we don't have a Space Force? You know, so they create the Space Force. So I think Project Bluebeam is a very plausible thing that could be happening. Another thing that kind of ties into, like, you know, how I've changed since I've woken up to this is I do believe that there's a very strong possibility that they could have that fake alien invasion stuff to unite the world. But how are they going to fight those aliens if they don't have a Space Force? And the assistant of Warner Von Braun, he on his deathbed told her that the space card is the final card, the alien invasion. That's their final card to them making a one world government. Once they pull that fucking trigger, you're gonna understand something. They either gain control by that decision they made, or they fucking lose it completely. And at this point, a lot of people know what they're doing is bullshit. So now it's like, do we pull the trigger now? Do we wait? Can we try and reprogram people? Can we distract them with school shootings? You know, so like they're just running around right now with like a, you know, chicken with its head cut off, and
So my thing is, you know, we know that the AE map. We don't know how accurate it is. It's inaccurate because I think it could be a lot of truth to the AE map, but they're obviously it could be hiding lands. That's where I'm leading at. So meaning control, they're trying to control the narrative, or they want to believe, and they know the shift is coming, so they want to stick us in a different paradigm rather than what we're supposed to be. They don't want us to really know what this actually place is. A lot of the guests that we have on here, I ask them, how do you feel about the North Pole? You know, they're hiding lands over there. I mean, what's going on? I mean, you know, what's going on?
I think the North Pole is more significant than the South Pole. I think Antarctica, like the treaty and all this stuff, yeah, obviously they're hiding something there, but there's way more knowledge at the center of something than it would be on the outside. So even if you went to the outside, you found a firmament, you know, or whatever. And the center is where it all is. That magnetic pole that we have in the center holds so much energy, and there could be some things going on there that people don't really think about going to the North Pole, like the actual center of where we live. More people focus on the outside, because that's where they want us to focus. They want to keep us from the outside, but they also want us to kind of dig at the outside at the same time and just kind of leave that middle alone. Like, okay, let's distract them with that,
it's with polar bears.
Yeah, don't polar bears.
It's too cold out there. You don't want to go there. Polar bears.
Yep. And there's like past a certain point, it's actually by law you have to be holding a gun or something like that, because of how dangerous the polar bears are and stuff. Like, but.
Yeah, because I'm really fascinated.
Where it's at, in my opinion.
I'm fascinated about the pole, man. A lot of people talk about that. I'm fascinated about Antarctica, but I'm also fascinated. Yeah, obviously you can see that they're changing. They take away the lands from the middle. It's supposed to be like small, four continents in the middle of North Pole. Or like maybe a mountain, or maybe an inner. We don't know.
Well, I think Mount Meru is supposed to be at the North Pole. There's maybe some sort of God of Eden, man. Like, you never know. Like, but I feel like something's like the center. Take like a carousel, for instance. Like, you have all these horses going around and bouncing up and down with the kids on it. Everybody's distracted about the outside. But what's really making it all happen is that motor on the inside. You know what I mean? That's where all the real gears are grinding. That's where all the pistons are pumping. That's where, all the cool things are actually happening. Where everybody's kind of everybody's on the outside, just kind of bouncing and going along with the flow. Like, oh, look at, let's go there. Let's go there. So. But
I mean, rumor has it that ancient civilizations before us is running the show from down here. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, as far as ancient civilizations, man, like, it's all speculation at that point. There's so much speculation on it. What I do know is we've been here for at least 5,000 years. You know what I mean? But civilizations could have been wiped off, man. Maybe we're just the next civilization to get wiped off, but technology's in our favor this time, because that's one thing that the elite never had, was a competition in technology. Like, for instance, just take the P900, for instance. Like, I know we're not competing with these huge telescopes or anything like that, but I mean, we can actually view things now at a point and start actually seeing it. Because when you view something with 150 miles away on a camera, you're like thinking about a flat Earth model. You go, you're looking at it firsthand. You're not watching a YouTube video. You're sitting there like, holy fucking shit! I'm like looking at something 150 miles away. Like, what the hell? How is this even physically possible? And the problem now is that I think the technology has just caught up to the elite, and now they're scrambling and releasing certain information. And it's a special time to be alive, man. I said one time, like, the people at the beginning and the people at the end, they're the ones that have meaning. Everybody else in the middle just got fucked.
Absolutely. Well, that leads me up to my next question. That me and Roxanne are going to ask our guests, and we're going to ask all of our guests that come on. Is tell us something that we don't know.
Tell us something that you don't know. All right. I was in the top 1,000 for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1, PlayStation 4.
Wow.
So say it again.
You expected something about Flat Earth, right?
No. I totally missed that.
Do you know what? It's a trick question, because what we wanted to do is we wanted to see, I don't know which side is the left and which side is the right with the answers, right? But what I'm finding quite interesting is about 50-50. 50% of the people we've asked so far, and it's not been that many, but 50% have said something about the GLOBALIST, and 50% have said something about themselves. And I think it's quite interesting when we just say, tell us something we don't know. whether they say something about themselves or about not a minute in that sense. But I think it's really interesting how many people are willing to tell us something about themselves, because some people are quite protective about their personal lives. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's really cool when someone says something like what you just said. So you're a gamer. I'm a bit of a closet gamer. I play the PlayStation 4. I go on the Call of Duty with my partner, and we go on the team deathmatch, and I get my XP points up. Get my XP points.
That's what's up.
Nowhere near that level though.
I'm on a Fortnite binge right now, but
my partner's on H1Z1.
H1. Everybody keeps trying to bring me there because they know I'm a gamer, and people love me on, like, they follow me on social media, so they're like, oh, play this with me. But I have like Fortnite people that I've never even met before, because I'll put my gamer tag up and they'll send me a friend request. I'll accept it, obviously, and then like we'll end up playing together some night, and I'll be like, hey, what's up, man? Who are you? And he'd be like, oh, I'm this person from Facebook. I'm like, oh, that's so cool, man. Thanks for playing with me tonight. They'd be like, no way, thanks for playing with me. And I'm like, you know what? We're just playing video games.
I love it.
I'm down to chill. You stop flat earthing while you're playing Fortnite, you know.
See, that is a match made in heaven as far as I'm concerned. I think that's where my partner's trying to take it with his gaming as well. He's trying to do the whole flat smack while he's gaming. I've actually flat earth people I've never met before on just random friends on gaming. As we're talking, I'm just like, bro, like, go check out that moon, man, tonight. You know what I mean? And it'd be like, hey, man, have you ever thought about this? And all
the maps are flat in all the game.
Yeah, exactly. Where all the maps are designed flat, you know.
That's right.
But go ahead.
Can I ask one more question with the modern warfare thing? How much time do you play on computer games now that you're awake? Prior to not that you don't play it at all, but do you play it as much as you played it before, or do you play it less? Or maybe I should say this differently. Do you still prioritize and make time to play the way you used to?
Yes.
That's a better way of saying it.
Yes.
Okay.
Only because I have a couple of good reasons. One is it keeps your brain activity going.
Correct.
So you're firing all your snaps. So it's you're constantly thinking. So I set the time aside for that, and then also like this flat earth shit drives me fucking crazy sometimes. You know, like
do you not find you need an escape? You need an escape, right? It's a bit of an
100%. You know, like last couple weeks ago when I'm flying back from Florida, I'm like, I'm dying on this flight to Philadelphia or something like that. The layover, it's foggy, like shitty. All the people on the plane sucked. Like it was just a horrible flight. And I was like, I couldn't even fall asleep, even though how tired I was. I kept on falling forward. And you know, I was thinking to myself, like, why the fuck do I do this? Like, I'm like at the end of like this flat earth trip, and I'm like dying on a plane, and like I hadn't even slept the night before, and like my friend, even he dared me. He goes, dude, before you get on this plane, man, he's like, eat 300 milligrams of edibles before you go on this plane. He goes, this is the comedian. He goes, don't take a trip home, take a journey home. And I was just like, oh my god. So I took the dare, ate the 300 milligrams, and I'm on this flight, like just like tripping my balls off, like flying home, like what the fuck am I doing in my life? And then, but it was all fun. It was all good fun, but I question myself, you know what I mean? But I come when I'm home and my kids go to bed early. They're like 7 o'clock. They're all in bed, and my wife is usually tired from taking care of them all day, so sometimes she falls asleep. And God bless to all the mothers out there who do a job that no man could ever do. 100%. You guys are special.
Absolutely. You know what, Brandon, it was kind of different for me because I was a hardcore Call of Duty, Xbox One. You know, I was getting in. I actually had a group. I had football players that are friends of mine that I would play with a group of people. When I woke up to Flat Earth, I was like, oh my gosh, man, I didn't say anything at first. Until the first people I actually really started talking to was my friends on the games. I'm like, it's flat. But they started just flip-flopping. I was like, oh, this motherfucker, he lost his mind. Yeah, he's smoking some other shit, right? So I'm like, it just turned me off. I haven't been back I haven't played on my Xbox One for at least a year and a half now.
Yeah, really? Understandable, man. Understandable.
No, because I was like this. I don't even have time. I don't even want to because I feel like to me, it's just a distraction. Now I have so much ideas and so many things I want to do, and I love video games. Don't get me wrong. But I just don't have the time to play them. It's not a priority no more. It's just so interesting to see someone that's awoken after myself. It was like, yo, I still make time to play. Yeah. I'm like, well, maybe, because sometimes the flat up drive me crazy too. I'm like, well, maybe I should get back on just to see, you know, whatever. But I'm still like, I don't even have for that. Like, you know, we have time to do certain things. But I think that's probably a good idea. Maybe that's what I need. A little bit of
we need to get away, man. Yeah. This isn't easy, you know, and like I said, video games is a good way to keep the brain working. I've always thought that, known that. Also, you can keep a good camaraderie. Like, I'll test the waters with people I play video games. Like, yeah, man, hey, man, Flat Earth, you ever heard of it? And if they're like, if they don't want no part of it, I won't bring it past that point. You can tell, right? Their first response is always the one that you can hold on to, and is who they are. Like, whatever, I get time for that. I don't want to lose a video game for them, you know. But it's, to me, it's very, very, very therapeutic. Extremely therapeutic. I went to, like, for instance, I'm a big Bruins fan. The Boston Bruins is a hockey team that we have up here. Big NHL hockey team and stuff from Boston. And I went to a game last year, and I had picked up one of my good friends who I used to always go to the games with. And but this was the gap of me becoming a flat earther, or becoming a flat earther. And we're driving to the game, and he starts talking. Wow, man, he's like, you got all this shit going on online and Facebook and stuff. And I started talking about it, and I was like, whoa. I was like, dude, I was like, I can't, man. This whole night was to not even fucking think about that. You know, I wanted to go to Boston, watch a hockey game, come home, and just not even think about the shit. You know, I needed to get away. But so video games to me has not only been like a brain exercise, but it's also been just a therapeutic, because I can actually forget about the reality that we're dealing with all day, which is we need that. It's basically a natural way to take a Xanax. You know what I mean? Or a friggin' anxiety medicine. You forget about your pain, or you forget about what you're stressing or worried or loving or caring, or all your energy's going. You can just, if I get an hour a night or an hour every other night playing video games, and I'm not thinking about like this reality, it charges me up to keep going for the next day. You know, it keeps that charge going. And it's also an opportunity to wake people up at the same time too. So like, I do use it for that, you know. But to me, it's just a therapeutic thing, man. And honestly, dude, like, I understand giving up football and like NFL, and you see all the propaganda and stuff, like in movies, like, dude, let me tell you something, bro. I don't watch TV. I don't watch any shows. I don't watch any, you know what I mean? I'll watch some hockey and UFC fighting, because I believe man versus man fighting, man versus man fighting is something I will never give up. That is beautiful, no matter what shit propaganda is around it. Two people want to friggin' beat the shit out of each other and the victor wins. To me, that's beautiful. You know what I mean? There's nothing in that, you know, like, that's not beautiful.
Right. You know what? I can't lie to everybody. I dip in and out of Netflix. I mean, in the beginning, I shut it all. But, you know, I have to remember, I'm on a family. Most of the time, 99% of the time, it's all YouTube. Straight flat earth.
Me too. I messed with Netflix for a little bit. I messed with Netflix for a little bit as well.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of like go to Netflix, and then I'm like,
we need a little escapism sometimes.
Right. I can't watch any space shit. Anything have to do with space, because I love that shit so much. I wanted to go to Mars, man. I was a big space guy, big alien guy. The whole line. I can't watch none of that shit.
Yeah. Do you know what, Richard? That reminds me. That brings me to I want to ask two real quick questions. I'm going to ask them to the chat room, and I really want to ask Brendon's opinion on these. I want to ask you, Brendon, and the chat room, what is the chat room's main, like maybe I should say your favorite or your most go-to proof that you're not on a bull?
Oh, for me, it's just logic.
Cool.
You know, you can bring up the water being level and stuff, but then you have to actually start thinking about water and stuff like that. A lot of the times, if you just, because people actually, like a globe head will be like, oh, flat Earth is illogical, and be like, well, what's logic? You know, so if you went outside, do you feel, experience, or see anything like that, or have all your senses been reverse engineered to be the complete opposite of that? You know, so basically, just your actual logic, which is what would you believe if man never told you otherwise? You know, so nobody can say, okay, if they weren't told by somebody, would they think they were on a spinning ball shooting through space? Nobody would say yes to that. You wouldn't go outside if nobody told you otherwise. You logically assume that you were not spinning. Any elevation you go to, it's flat. So if you just remove all that programming, what's real logic? You know, logic is what your God-given senses are. So if people can really take heed to what the model that they were taught, the speeds that they're spinning, the elliptical orbit of the sun, going around the galaxy, being pulled through the vacuum of space. If you can actually like break down those things and then look into like centrifugal force, because then you start looking into like the centrifugal forces and stuff like that. And like we're in like an elliptical orbit, so we loop around the sun like this. Boom, we do this like shooting thing around the sun, but you don't feel nothing. Everything's just equilibrium. That's just constantly like making it like gravity's selecting when it wants to make everything perfect for you the entire time, like, you know. So so your logic, your God-given senses, like, do you feel anything you're being taught? If man never told you otherwise, would you believe it? That to me is the best proof right there.
Well said. Well said. And my other question was, why does the Earth being flat matter to you? Why does it matter to you?
The future generations.
Yeah, me too.
The
kids,
the
kids, isn't
kids.
It's because you brought kids into the life without realizing it, and then knowingly we have to do something about it now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like we owe it to them, you know. You understand though, like I'm 35. I don't know, you know, I'm not sure how old Richard is. I'm not sure how old you are, but I'm sure we all were somewhat in the 80s at some point. So you're 43, okay.
40. I'm nearly 40.
So okay, so you're around my age. We got fucked. Our generation got fucked. Our food products, our vaccines, and we didn't get hit as hard as the kids that are getting hit now. But just think about it. What did we grow up on? Soda, macaroni and cheese, fucking, you know, chips and Cheeto, you know, all these cool things that you never thought were being you know, throughout the early 90s, nobody was like saying, oh, don't eat this. Like everything was just fed to us, and we had no recollection of all the poisons we were taking. But we have a chance to not put the future generations through that abuse that we took.
It's like this is the age of knowing. Right.
Yeah,
it's the age of knowing and learning.
Exactly. So I always go back to the analogy, like if we've all ran a red light. I think Mark Sargent said it a while ago or something like that. But if we've all ran a red light, I'm sure we're all guilty of that, right? But if they put a red light, you know, I'm paraphrasing, putting it into a nutshell, but if they put a red light camera on top of that light, and you got a bill in the mail and your license was in jeopardy and you got this fine for $150 and stuff, are you gonna run that red light again? You're not, you know what I mean? Because then you lose your license and you have to pay another $150, maybe more, you know. So that's flat Earth in a nutshell. Like if everybody knew they had that like view on them from above, the whole world would be better. So not only are we providing a healthier life environment for our children, but a peaceful one, you know. We're at war right now, and eventually there's going to be, I believe personally, that there's going to be some sort of violence involved in this. But they don't have to go through that.
It's going to get bad before I don't think it's going to be bad for that long. You know, after a year or whatever, without your smart device, you wouldn't even think about it anymore. People don't realize that technology really isn't that important. You know, like you'd get used to your way of life if something happened. But we have a moral obligation, not just to our Creator, to expose lies, but to the children in the future. Because just think of how well their lives could be. You know, like how far we could advance in human knowledge and where the hell we are, and all this money would get invested into what is this thing we're living in. And, you know, people would be so touched. There'd be no murders. And people say, well, why does it matter? Why does it matter? And it's like, well, give it a fucking year and watch. You know what I mean? The borders come down, the wars stop, the murders stop. Everybody sees that fucking red light camera above them, and they stop running red lights. And that's what people don't get, you know? And it wouldn't take long for us to weed out the evil once it becomes that. I always use the term utopian society loosely, but when it comes to that point where it's like that, you know, like eventually we're gonna weed out.
And what's going on.
Exactly, you know. They're going to look back at us, and they're going to, even the flat earthers, we're to what we're supposed to be. We're fucking savages of human beings, you know what I mean? Like, there's murder, killing, you know, littering, like whatever. I know littering's actually a stupid example.
Long about everything.
Exactly, so we're fucking animals, you know what I mean? Right. It's supposed to be thy neighbor, man. It's like supposed to be love and shit. And like, I don't even like, and here's something I'll share with you guys. Like, I think of that next life, and I go, fuck, I'm not built to that life. I'm not built to that peace, you know? I'm built to this shit right now. And I know my life is not meant to be in that peaceful utopian society, because I know in my heart that I can be used for way different reasons right now, and to play nice guy, it's not what it is, you know. And we live in a fucking evil world, you know. And I know that this future, the future that I want for my kids, is not who I'm built to live in. I'm not built to live in that society, you know. I'm ready for this one because I know this is my war, this is my fight, this is what I have to deal with, and this is who I have to be to get through it and to fight evil. If the world just became peaceful tomorrow and everybody just, you know, butterflies went up everywhere and everybody knew the earth was flat and we stopped poisoning each other, I would be like, oh shit.
Cool. Right.
What the fuck do I do now? You know what I mean? I'm ready to fucking die for this shit. You know what I mean?
Well, but I don't know. It's important. Right. It's important that we, the teachers, and we lead by example and let the other people know what's going on. Because just like you said it, like we're in a war. We're in a visible war. We don't even know who our enemy is. And I always tell everybody all the time, it's going to come down to good versus evil. What side are you on? You know what I mean? Like good versus evil, and the devil owns the fence. You know what I mean? So I mean, something like analogy like that. Like, what side are you on? You know what I mean?
Well, evil isn't as powerful as it appears to be. Like the way we view evil is the elites and the people that are doing this to us. But the honest truth is they don't have the fucking power, really. They just have it because we're allowing them to have it. You know, if 1 billion people turned around right now and was like, you know what, whew, time's up for you, boy. We're marching in. We're coming here. We're doing it. If everybody, that's their biggest. Excuse me, the hiccups.
Done deal.
That's their biggest fear, is the people waking up against them, because they have us we're under the illusion that they have the power, you know. Right. So that's why that waking up one person is no different than a million type thing is really important, because eventually we get that power in numbers, and their time is up, and then we have this race between good and evil right now, and that's why we do what we do, you know.
Now, once a lot of people awaken, they force the envelope. Some news station comes out and says, because that's how people believe stuff when they hear it on the news. Hey, comes out to find out that the earth is flat and motionless, right? Big panic, big thing. Everybody's like, what the fuck is going on? What next? What I'm talking about is removing them from power, rewriting the Constitution, you know, the whole 9 yards. What next?
Yeah,
it's going to be massive
or just
reform.
Massive reform, or just going back to the Constitution. I mean, it's pretty well written, but we just don't live by it anymore. You know what I mean? It's been improvised and walked on and mandated, and this, that.
Well, it's outdated. You know? I mean, it's outdated, and we can't even verify even if that's even an accurate constitution. I mean, that's how they manipulated it so bad. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, we have more laws and less laws. You know, I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, the only thing that should be against the law is, you know, if you do harm to somebody else, like that's something that should not be condoned or anything like that. But I look at life real weird. Like, I'll be driving down a road and I'll see a speed limit sign, right? And people look at, like, oh, they're telling us how fast to go and it's for our best and stuff like that. The way I look at it is, if you don't know how fucking fast to be driving safely, you're a fucking idiot. We live in a world where we need to be told how fast to drive, because people are so dumb, they can't figure it out themselves, that they have to put these limits and say 35. You know what I mean? Like, why are we not a society that's responsible enough to just drive down the fucking road? It's because of the system we're in. I mean, there's so many different things that come down from all these laws and everything like that, that we've been conditioned to be a certain way, that we need to be told how fast to drive. We need to be told this. We need to be told that. And there's all these different laws, like with guns and all these, like, certain states. We have a Second Amendment. Go to Mass, you can't buy a firearm. You know, go to Chicago, you can't buy a firearm, but they're everywhere illegally. You know, it's like none of the laws work. But if you go back to the actual Constitution or that way of freedom, it's like, keep it simple, don't harm one another. You know, that's the only laws we should really have is don't hurt another person and work for your neighbor and help out as much as you can. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, we've come under this society where America is now an oligarchy, is the best way I would personally describe it, because most people are just under the illusion that we have a choice or a vote, you know, like two-party system, whatever. But we live in an oligarchy, and a lot of people don't speak about that, you know, because there's people say, oh, no, we live in a republic, and then that person like, no, it's this, and then that person like, no, it's actually, you know, this. But then what it really is just all an illusion, and then people have power and they control everything, because you don't vote on laws, you vote on somebody to represent you for a law. You know, or like, you vote on a politician who's supposed to represent your opinion on something. You think he's going to have your best interest in mind when he gets into power? No, not even on a molecular level inside these towns and cities do they do that. Never mind a president, you know. So we've come so far from where humans should be. And the reason why Flat Earth is so important is that because we could truly take back an amazing place, you know, the free energy, the love and everything like that. And I know I truly in my heart know I'm built for this life, not that life. I feel like I'm built to get us to that life, so other people can live that life, that peaceful, utopian, whatever society it becomes, you know. But where I know is I'm just made to get us there. I'm not made to live that life.
Right.
You know.
Interesting.
And it's tough. Yeah, and I don't admit that a lot to a lot of people. Here I am live saying that. I know I'm not made for that next life. I'm just made for the one that's supposed to get us there, you know.
Hey, you know what? It kind of makes sense, because we can't, you know, in this body that we're in, we can't even get to the next realm, you know. And I believe that they're hiding what death actually really is. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
100%.
Yeah.
You don't. There's no existence. Like, that whole no existence thing is bullshit. We're energy, and you know, energy is something that is, you know, was it created nor destroyed, you know, and yeah, that's actual provable science. And where does that energy go? And I like that whole kind of, you know, body with a soul, soul with a body thing comes up. You know, most people feel that they're you know, a body that has a soul, but truly we're just kind of like in an Uber right now. You know what I mean? The Uber's our body, and we're gonna get off somewhere. And who you feel you are in your heart. If you feel like you're a warrior and you want to go head on in this Flat Earth thing, that's because that's who you are. But that society that comes next, I'm not talking after life, I'm not talking after you die. I'm just saying that society that we're fighting for, we're not meant for that society. We're meant to get us to that society. If we get to that society after all the shit we've been through, we relax. And then we go, what the fuck am I going to do now? You know, like, I'm supposed to be fighting for this shit. It's here now. And it's kind of like you're twiddling your thumbs there. You know, so I know this is going to be my battle for my life. And hopefully I can play my part in getting us there. And if in my lifetime I could see us get to that point, I'll be happy enough. You know, I'll feel like a mission accomplished at that point.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Full respect to you for that. You know what? In that sense, I just wanted to finish that off with you know, you kind of touched on quite a bit there. You definitely briefly touched on identifying what the enemy is of our civilization. I got an interesting one for everyone, including you, Richie, as well. I want to ask, because I've got probably about half, just off the top of my head, I can give half a head. I want to ask everyone, why do you think that we're being lied to about the shape of the Earth? Why does everyone think that we're being lied to?
You want me to go first? I'll go first.
I'm happy to. Shall I throw it out there? I'll give the first one. Yeah, I feel that they're doing that to hide free energy for a start, hide spirituality, hide more resources, hide us from the person that created us or the force that created us. That's just for start.
Right. I'm saying total ultimate control. Because you know, and not only for that, totally for control. Total control, because I mean we're dealing with psychopaths right here. Psychopaths. You know, you hide people's true nature to reality. You know. And I guess my second would be, you know, you hide, you know, the firmament is, I believe it's our creator's fingerprint. You know, it's proof we live in a building. And people are smart. Well, eventually they become smart. They're gonna figure out if we live in a building, that means someone made this building. You know what I mean? So you know, everything starts changing right there.
I think the main reason they've lied to us is to hide who we are, where we are.
You kind of cut off a little bit.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I think they're lying to us about.
I can hear you, Brandon. I can hear you, Brandon.
Can you see me or?
I can't see you.
All right, hang on 1 second, okay? I'll be.
You got it. Go ahead, Roxanne.
Yeah, I think the main reasons we're being lied to is about who, where, and what we are.
Right. Well, while we're waiting for Brendon to come back on.
All right.
Okay. I was going to ask Roxanne a question. You know, also before I ask anybody Roxanne this question, anybody in the group has any questions for Brendon? Type it in capitals, and we'll ask him. But Roxanne, what keeps you motivated every day doing what you do? You know, I don't know if you know so much about Roxanne, Brendon, but she's a hardcore street activist.
I love it. I love it. Anybody doing that stuff, it's tough. Amazing.
Tough too. Tough.
Love it.
Tough.
Absolutely love it.
You know, and she knows. And she's like, we all on the same kind of vibe. And you know, and like we always, you know, we like to have you come back in the future, you know, as many times as you want, and keep us up to date what's going on. I want you to know about Harry. He's doing the UK Globe Tour, and after that, he's going to come to the States. So, you know, when he comes to the States,
I'm coming too.
And Roxanne, you know, we'll drive up there to come see you, because you ain't that far from me.
Yeah, my auntie's over in Hawaii, so I'm going to go all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast and end up at my auntie's in Hawaii.
Yeah, make sure you come by. Let's get you in one of the episodes.
And all the way from East to West. I'm going to try and hit as many places as I can. And meet as many people as I can.
Come do some work with me.
Brendon.
Absolutely. I'm always down with cool stuff like that.
Yeah, man. So the question I want to ask you, Roxanne, is what keeps you motivated every day doing what you're doing, and just keep you you know, with all the nonsense out there, and you know, with all the infighting, like what keeps you motivated every day? That fire in your gut.
My children, first and foremost, my children. I didn't sign up for bringing them into a life. My children are my driving force. They're my energy. They're my tenacity. They're the reason that I carry on and I don't give up. For every day that I wake up and my children are awake, my partner's awake. We're a household of awake people.
Right.
But you know, I touched on this before. I will not go quietly into the night. Yeah, I will not be the great grandmother that my great grandkids cannot name or know anything about. And what's worse is if they don't know anything about me and don't know anything about the era that I'm from, then we'll have dropped the baton again. And I'm not having it. I'm not having it.
That's beautiful. Love it. I know I'm frozen on the screen right now. Am I frozen looking at you guys right now, or?
No, frozen.
No, we can see you. No, we can see you.
Yeah.
You're all good.
Am I actually like
Brendon,
moving?
Do you have any questions? Brendon, you have any questions for Roxanne or myself or anybody in the chat room? Or?
Yeah,
wait,
for sure.
We've got not you. We've got an avatar. You know, like the little image.
Yep.
No camera.
Oh, so I'm an avatar now?
Yeah.
Just give me 1 second here. Let me.
No problem.
No worries. Yeah. That's all good. So yeah, it's the kids really that keep me motivated. And as I'm sitting here talking to you now, Richard, I'm thinking to myself, how can I go through any 24 hours of my life and not keep having human interactions with people and telling them the earth's flat? Like, well, I don't necessarily tell them the earth's flat. I just tell them they're not on a ball. You're not on a ball, innit?
That's the best way to do it too. That's one of the best ways to do it, is not bring up the words flat earth, because that word's a really trigger word.
Try to steer away from those.
Realm earth, you know, hey, you live in a realm, you don't live on a, you know, on a globe, you know, like just use other words that are less, you know, triggering to people and more comforting. It's kind of like kind of like you have to rock a baby, you know what I mean?
British people, the one thing I found with British people is British people, they're quick to want to answer you back with something cheeky, probably like American people, And I've noticed that over here, when I tell people they don't live on a ball, it's like it's like a Jedi mind trick or something, because instantaneously it's like they want to agree because they know that sounds stupid. Yeah. When I say to someone, you know, you didn't live on a ball, they kind of look at me as if they want to go, yeah, no, I don't live on. Wait, hold on. Of course I live on a ball. And it's like that, the stupid kid and play word of it, just a ball. They visualize a football, they visualize a basketball, they visualize a ball when you say ball, and then they visualize something spinning through space, and then they give you this look like, talk to me. What are you saying? What do you mean I'm living on a ball? I didn't know I was living on a ball. I thought I lived on a
No, here in the United States, they just throw glowheads will just throw propane tanks in the campfires and try to blow you up, basically.
One time, if you're free, Brendon, you can see that happening to me on multiple occasions in London. Like, it happens on a. I literally just over 10 days ago, nearly got physically attacked by someone that got so triggered by what we were talking about. And the joke of it was, the person that got triggered by me, I wasn't even talking to at the time. Someone to the back of me and just went nuts. So yeah, they get out the propane gas and lighters on a regular basis. In fact, I never thought.
No, somebody really threw a propane tank into a fire in the United States and tried to blow up a flat earther. Like, that actually happened.
Oh, I saw that. Who was that? That was
my God.
Yeah, it happened in like
it was Authentic Intent, I think.
Illinois or something. I don't know where it happened, but the heliocentric subscriber was so mad at the flat earther that they started throwing shit. Took a full propane tank and threw it into a fire.
Yeah, he got up from the chair, right? He went back. He was like, look what society is, you know?
Yeah, and he tried to kill people pretty much because somebody was a flat earther. And he actually got arrested and stuff. And the news article at the end of it has like a poll on like, is the earth flat or round or something? It was weird, but it's an actual incident that happened. You know, like, somebody was just talking about flat earth, and somebody got so mad that they actually took a propane tank and tried to blow somebody up.
Unbelievable, man. That's insane. These kind of things we gotta watch out, man. Watch out for.
And people think it's a problem having an online troll. You wait till you meet a real life troll.
Exactly.
Then, you know?
Exactly. Yep.
Online trolls have got nothing compared to real life.
Well, yeah, because they can't hide in real life, you know. So they're either gonna freak out and try and blow you up, or
run away.
Run away. Yeah, exactly.
That's it. But the one thing you know is if they run away, they're just gonna come back another day. So I'd rather deal with them when they're there. But I did not know that happened. That is insane. I'm so sorry for the situation.
Yeah, Google it. Just Google globe earth, or just put in like flat earth debate turns ugly when propane tank is thrown into. I forget what the title was, but something along those lines. And if you just put in propane tank flat earth versus globe earth guy gets arrested or something, you'll find the article. But it's some pretty gnarly shit. Because I could just see the flat earther there, like, yo, dude, I'm just my opinion, man. Like, just hear me out. And you see the globe earther, like, fucking die, motherfucker. Like, how dare you think like that, you know? No flat earther would ever use violence because somebody doesn't believe in a globe. That's all I can say. There may not be one flat earther in the world that would actually use physical violence because somebody disagreed with them. You know, because we're used to being disagreed with.
Yeah. So when that's awoken, you know what's going on. Exactly.
Yeah, we're not trying to be violent, you know. We'll have plenty of that in the future, you know, when the shit hits the fan. But right now, we just gotta get the numbers up, and wake people up, and move forward on a daily basis, you know. And I don't know how long the episodes are gonna go, but once I take off to upstate New Hampshire, I'm in southern New Hampshire now, but I'm gonna kind of buckle down and kind of just not get away from everything, you know, but quiet everything down. So I'm gonna do all my traveling, all my experiments now, and then not retire, but be the equivalent of somebody who retires as an author but still writes a book type thing. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna put in all the work I can right now, and then once I feel like the footprint's big enough, I'm just gonna kind of like narrow it down to like a podcast and like, you know, the Future Flat Earth group or something. But I'm already seeing a way out of this, like, because I know that snowball effect that we spoke about earlier is going to get so big that at a certain point, it's like you got to know when to step back and say, okay, job done, step back, just let everything play out. And that's when you really need to just focus on your families at that time, you know, because if you're really going to dedicate your life to this, exactly, you're going to dedicate your life to this, really look at it on a broad span and say, okay, I can put in this much body of work, spend this amount of money, try and get this many people looking up, look at the broad spectrum of everything and say, okay, by this time, probably I won't need to do much by then. You know, because if you wake a person up, that person can wake up 1,000 people. You never know who you're waking up. That's the beautiful thing about it. Is like, say Eric Dubay, for instance, right? Fucking guy's a fucking genius, right? And he may be a little crazy, but he's fucking smart as fuck, you know. And I love the kid to death, you know. I've never met him in person, but we talk on, you know, Facebook, you know, Messenger and stuff like that. Great fucking guy. He's so smart, and he's putting in such a large body of work. At what point does he need to keep doing that? You know what I mean? Because he's already got that ball rolling. And now, how many people did Eric Dubay wake up? He was a huge part of me waking up because he was in the first couple videos and stuff that I saw. How do you know that next person that you wake up is not going to be that next Richard Lopez that dedicates his life, or that next Roxanne, or that next, you know what I mean? Because think of how important we are to the next person, because that next person could be a million people. You know, so that's the beautiful thing about waking people up, is you never know how much you're going to put in just by waking that one person up. And yeah, like I said, you know, you never know who that next Eric Dubay or Mark Sargent or whoever these guys are, you know. Like, I don't throw the shill shit out there with anybody. Like, they're waking people up. I don't fucking care. You know, I hope Eric Dubay becomes a millionaire. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, he woke up like millions of people. You know what I mean? Like, I could care less if he's writing books and shit like that, or Mark Sargent doing it. Like, do your thing. Like, who cares? You know, like, people are like, oh, he's just doing it for the money. And it's like, oh, he's also waking up millions of people, and that's what we need, you know?
We don't get into that drama shit. You know, it's all about, we say
zero drama, none of that, you know?
Exactly. And you're on the same page as we are. You know?
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Man. You know, we just keep it focused. So many things, man. Yo, man, but you know what? I appreciate you coming on the show tonight, man. I really do. Do we got any people in the chat room with any questions for Brendon out there? Before we wrap
a message out for them to put in capitals, but I will admit we have asked quite a few questions in the Hangout, so we may have answered some of them already.
Okay. I think it was great, man. We'd love to have you back, Brendon. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. Is it okay for Roxanne to send you a link to John Global Tour, the Harry Tour across the UK? So even if you just share it, you know, whatever.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
It's all flat Earth, my brother.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, I'll put it in. I'll put it in the future Flat Earth. I'll put it in the official Flat Earth and Globe discussion group. 125,000 people in there. Or close to that.
That would be absolutely amazing.
My personal page.
Thank you so much.
I think I have like 5,000 on my personal page. Yeah, I can reach out to about 150,000 people for you, no problem. Like, just send me the link. I got no problem doing that for you. Absolutely.
We appreciate that, man. I can't wait till you meet Larry, man, too. And Jason. They're out there doing the road right now, man. They're doing it hardcore.
I love it. I love it.
I will send you the link. I appreciate you coming. Appreciate everybody in the chat room.
I'd love to you for coming, my darling. Thank you so much for taking the time out.
Brendon, anytime. You're on the same page we are. I've been telling Roxanne all day about you. Now people in the UK just met you, and people are here in America that don't know you, now know you, and we want to follow you and keep track of any experiments, anything going about the future of the flat Earth. Please share with us. We always gonna keep it flat.
Right.
Always.
That's right. All of the links are in the description for Brendon's channel and everybody that's been on the program tonight. Nice. I've got links for everything in the description. So within one click, you will be straight there on Brendon's page, and you'll be able to get a world of information of what's going on in Earth there as well. So, yeah,
if you ever want to get something out, Brendon, let me know, because this is Flat Earth News and Reports as well too. Let me know, we get it out, boss. It's all about let me know what you doing. Let me just holler at me, man.
The whole chat room's giving you loads of love, Brendon. Everyone said they've really enjoyed listening to you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Brendon.
Love you guys.
Much love. Yeah, everyone in the chat room's really loved it. So thank you for coming and sharing everything that you've been doing. I think a lot of people in the chat room have heard you for the first time. So I think that's amazing.
Yes.
Oh, what's up, guys? Hey, everybody in the chat room, follow me, guys. Hit me up on Messenger, Future Flat Earth, my personal page. Like, I don't care, man. Like, hit me up anywhere. I'm always down to give my best to anybody. And of course, Richard, I'll be back on the show with you, man. Absolutely, anything to get the word out there. Everybody showing me love. Like
all over the chat room. Everyone's saying, "Great chat, Brendon. Sweet."
Yeah, you deserve it. You deserve the love, Brendon, man. I've been watching you for a long time, man. I've been watching you. I watched the iHeartRadio. I watched how you kept your composure, even though it was comedy. I really like that, because that's what it was all about, man. Because you could have been like, "Oh no, Joe, I don't know you," blah blah blah. But you took it, boom, boom, and you went with it. Because before you went there, the live stream while you was outside, you walked in and showed it. So I appreciate that. I was watching. I was tuning in. I love what you do. I appreciate what you do for this community. And like, if you guys don't know him, get to know him. And we're gonna have him back. Thank you for putting up with some of the feedback in the chat room, guys. People stay tuned in, and with that, we appreciate that. And
big time.
Thank you, everybody. Yep.
Massive love to the chat room. Me and Richard will be back tomorrow again with more updates for the UK GLOBALIST tour. We're going to have some more people on with us tomorrow, guests to be confirmed, but we will give you an update on Facebook as to when we're going live. And once again, thank you so much for joining us. Massive love and respect to you all.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roxanne. I look forward to talking to you, and Richard always talking to you anyways, so I look forward to it. I love you guys. Thanks, everybody, for having me.
I love you too, my brother. I love you too, brother. Thank you.
You got it, man. All right. Rock on, guys.
Take care. Massive love.
Love.
Bye.
As I said, we'll be back tomorrow.